Hey guys, and welcome back to another lesson. Today we're going to be looking at sweep picking, which is something that a lot of guitarists love to learn, and a lot of guitarists that already have learned it love to do. So we're going to go over using 3 strings and picking out a couple of chords. So I'm going to walk you through my process of making just a tiny little riff or song using a few chords and 3 strings on my guitar and sweep picking. So if you're not familiar with sweep picking, we'll go over that as well as the count for it and then kind of what chords I'm picking out to use. So just to start out, if you have no experience with sweep picking, we're going to be looking at no fingers playing any frets on the left hand and just playing open with our right hand picking. Okay? So a sweep pick is where we would push the pick through the strings and pull them back up. Now this 3-string sweep I'm going to be showing you is going to focus on A, D, and G string. And in the entire exercise, these are the only strings we will be using for every section. So to get started, let's go ahead and try and do an open sweep on these 3 strings. So all I want you to do is I want you to rest your pick on the A string. Okay, and then you're going to push down and it's going to land on the D string. You rest there for a second and you push down and it gets to the G string, and then you push through that and it rests on the B string. Now we're not going to play the B string, we're going to come back up and do the same motion upwards. So down, up. Okay, and I'm muting all the strings using my left hand and the palm of my right hand. If you want to just use your palm, that's fine. I like to have as dampened sound as possible when I practice just the picking technique, so I'm actually muting with both hands. Okay, now you'll see pop up on the screen some tabs for this exercise for sweep picking. So on the screen you'll notice that we have what are called triplet notes. Triplets will count in 1 beat, and we'll count them triplet, 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 triplet. Okay? So in the count, that's how we'll hear it. And we're in 2/4 times. That means there's 3 triplets per beat, and there are 2 beats in a measure. So there are 4 total measures, and all of them repeat. We go down and then up, next measure down, next measure up. So that's going to be how it goes for this entire exercise. And we are at 80 beats per minute. So if you'd like to follow along, go ahead and set a metronome, or you can play along to the video. So I'm going to go ahead and set my metronome to 2/4 time, 80 beats per minute, and the click will be on triplets. Triplet, 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 triplet. Once you get used to the click, try going through the exercise. Triplet, 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 triplet. I recommend practicing this a few times just to get your hand into the motion of the sweep pick. Now if you find that 80 beats per minute was too slow, you can always speed it up, and if you found that was too fast, slow it down. Work at this at your own pace. However, if you want to play along to the video, all 3 parts of this and all 3 exercises are going to utilize 80 beats per minute on the metronome, 2/4 times, and triplet notes. So that is our initial start to sweep picking, just getting the motion down with our right hand. Let's go ahead and move on to the second part. Okay, so you've hopefully conquered the right hand motions on our A, D, and G string. Now we need to pick out a couple of chords. For me, I'm going to go with the key of D major, and I'm going to start with a D note. Okay, so that's my 5th fret of my A string. And I'm going to play a D9 triad, which is essentially a chord, but I'm going to do the 3 notes. So I'm going to have D, then the 7th fret of D is A, and then I'm going to have the 9th fret on my G string, which is an E. So this is a D9 chord, or D9 triad. So now I need to get the motion of sweeping this down. So I can try. So I'm just going to loop it. Triplet, 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 triplet. You can pick any chord you want, and you just have to figure out exactly what notes there are on the 3 strings to build the chord. For example, if I wanted to do a basic D chord, I have my 1 and my 5. So I could just do an 8, which would be the octave. I can do a 1, I can do the 5 again, and then if I wanted to do a 3, I would either have to do a 3 on the same A string, which becomes more of an alternate picking, sweep picking kind of hybrid or economy picking, but not quite what we're looking for. So I'm going to stick with that D9. Okay, now I'm going to take this shape, and I want to start my next chord shape on where I left off with the last chord. So that D9 ended on the 9th fret of our G string. So I'm going to come back up, 9 on G, 11 on A, and 12 on my D. So it's going to be okay, so now that I have my 2 chords, which is that D9, and then I have this one here, which is actually just an A chord. Okay, I'm going to set my metronome to the 2/4 time signature, 80 beats per minute on a triplet note. And you'll see the tabs pop up on the screen, so if you'd like to follow along, you can go ahead and do that too. Triplet, 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 triplet. Okay, hopefully you're able to follow along to that. Now, if you're still struggling, again, slow down the metronome or speed it up to make it a little bit easier. I always recommend trying to go slower though, because if you try to go fast, usually your muscle memory will take over and you start playing the notes rather than memorizing them. And can make it a little bit more difficult to slow down in the future or do other riffs of similarity because you don't know how to break down the notes anymore. So now we'll move on to the 3rd and final exercise where I'll talk a little bit more about the technique we're using, and we will create one more chord to this progression. Okay, so hopefully you've done okay with the first 2 exercises and your sweep picking is improving as we go through the lesson. Now I want to add a 3rd chord because this, while it sounds nice, doesn't really resolve itself. So we're going to take that D9 and that A, and I'm going to add in, I want to use the same kind of positioning here. So what I'm doing is I'm playing the 9th fret on A. So if you remember, we started off on D, so this would be an F sharp. So this is actually an F sharp kind of major. So we had an A, an F sharp. So it's an F sharp with the 5th, and then an octave, kind of like a power chord. Okay, and then I play that. Now you might have noticed in the last exercise, I was pretty cleanly playing through the the 2 chords in the last exercise. And that's because I'm dragging my palm across the strings as I go. When you sweep pick, you don't want to allow the strings to ring out. Whatever you do, it's going to create a lot of extra noise because you're trying to go fast. So when you drag your palm, you're muting the string after you play it. So I play A, palm comes down, come down. And when you go up, your fingers will no longer press down. So they don't really come off the string, but they lift up enough to where the fret isn't being fretted anymore. Okay, so that was the technique in the last section. And just so you can clean it up for this one, because this is the 3rd and final section we'll be doing. We're going to be doing that D9, the A chord, and we're going to be doing our F sharp. Starting off, we'd be on the A string 5, then we're at 7 on D, 9 on G, then we come up with our first finger on the 9 of G, 11 on D, and 12 on A. Then we switch this position. It's just a power chord shape, so we're doing our 9 on A and 11 on D and another 11, this time on G. And then we resolve this by doing another A. Okay? So again, the tabs are popping up. If you want to play along, I'm at 80 beats per minute, 2 4-time signature on triplet notes. So here's the metronome. Triplet, 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 triplet. Hopefully you can follow along by this point in the lesson, but if you were having trouble, of course, slow it down or speed it up and just read the tabs at your own pace. Now, I hope you found this helpful. You can do this in any way you want. You don't have to do a D9 chord. You don't even have to do a C9 chord or any 9 chord to start off. But you just pick out the 3 notes or the triad of whatever chord you want to do and then transition into the next chord. A great way to do this is pick a chord in the beginning. Let's say I want to do a C, right? I know my C notes are C, E, and G. So all I have to do is find 3 notes on this pattern that allow me to do that. Again, a C, E, and G, I could do with 2 on the A string, which is more economy picking and a 2-string sweep. But you can always do that if that's your preference. This is just a guideline to show you how to create your own songs or solos or just riffs in general for sweep picking. I hope you found the lesson helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.